Hello, everyone. Not ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Fast Attentions, episode 12. I am your host, Nathan, alongside my co-host, my father, Todd.
Hey, Kingpin, how are you?
Oh, don't call me Kingpin. That's messed up, dude. I'm not Kingpin.
The Todd and Kingpin show.
See, my friends call me Kingpin because they usually owed me money, and I would yell at them about it. But that's not as big a deal anymore. But we have well, I actually don't know where he lives because he's more friends with other people of my friend group. He's online. His name's Keelan. He's a bigger guy, and he had like the shave. He kind of looked like Kingpin. There was a photo of him, and everyone says he's Kingpin now. So it's not my idea anymore.
No.
So how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing more insightful to get the conversation rolling.
I'm hoping to win the Mega Millions jackpot.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Did you get your ticket?
No.
Well, you can't win if you don't play.
Yeah, I didn't even know what was going on.
It's up to $1.35 billion.
Yeah, what are the chances of you winning that?
Not very good, but I always like to dream. I told the girl who sold me the ticket, I said, if I win, I'm taking you to Hawaii. And I told her that last time, and I scanned my ticket, and it came up, it has that little red. I said, sorry, not a winner. And I said, well, sorry, it looks like we're going to Council Bluffs. And some guy standing behind me in line started laughing. So,
man, look at you, snoozer.
Yeah, well, I'm in there every day. I take my break there every day, so I see. Her name's Kelly. I see Kelly every day, basically in there. So,
oh, I'm gonna throw in my random news of the day. Did you see that Pepsi's discontinuing Sierra Mist?
Yeah, they got something called Starrier now or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to taste more like Sprite.
Looks like it's from the 70s or something. The way the box is, it's all colorful. And
well, there was like a thing. It said they made like I don't know. That $3 billion may be too high, but there was a lot. It was a big like Sierra Mist sold a lot, but Sprite's so dominant of the lemon lime market that they got rid of it. Mm-hmm. And Don & Millie's has Sierra Mist, so we'll see if we get Starry. That'll be interesting. I told him I'm gonna buy because when we buy like the cases, it comes in those big cardboard boxes, the bags. I said I'm gonna buy one of those and just keep it in my room for 60 years, and then maybe like on some like show where they go and find valuable stuff, I'll be like, I have this whole case of Sierra Mist here. 60 years expired.
When I had one of my previous jobs was working at 7-Eleven, and we still had the canisters. They brought the big metal canisters in, and you had to hook up the lines.
Yeah.
Compression. And if you didn't catch it, some of the stuff would go spraying and whatever. And so some of those were hard. And then we went to the boxes where you hooked up to the box instead of the canisters, and that's kind of evolved into what you have now.
No, the boxes, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just they weigh a lot, so it's kind of a pain to get them up
heavy.
there, and then we have them on this little rack, and then like sometimes you have to it sucks.
You gotta make sure they're not leaking, because if that stuff leaks, it's so sticky and. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. Cool. Shout out to Starry. I think it's available now. So
yeah, I saw it when I walked into a local grocery establishment this evening, and they had it out front with their display, along with Mountain Dew and the Pepsis.
Okay, this is gonna be a really bad transition, but I figured we had to transition to one of our topics eventually, so I'll do it now. You sounded like kind of like Vince McMahon there, because you ever know about Vince McMahon, the WWE?
Yeah, we talked about him on our very first episode.
Well, I know you know who he is, but I meant he has like a list of banned words like you can't say because he doesn't prefer, like he doesn't like certain, like he doesn't like the phrase professional wrestler. He doesn't like the phrase professional wrestler,
especially the way you say it.
Yeah, I know, right? No wonder why he doesn't like it. No, but he doesn't like calling. It's not WWE's not pro wrestling. It's sports entertainment, and it's not like a championship match. It's like a title opportunity. Not a title opportunity, it's a whatever. He has all these stupid phrases that he doesn't like. And one of them, he doesn't like hospital. He likes nearby medical facilities, what you have to say. And he'll like find people if they say it because he just doesn't like it. There's like reasons why he doesn't. Like, you can't say you're fighting for the strap. It's like, the WWE champion. You have to fight for the championship, not the title. Or he's weird.
Yeah, I did want to, excuse me. I didn't want to touch base since you mentioned the medical facility. I just wanted to say on the air that you did a nice job with the intro there last week. I mean, you did that without my knowledge. Of course, like you said, we had recorded the day before. And so when I went to go back and listen and that came up, I was like, oh. And you did a good job with it. So.
Well, guy for DeMar Hamlin, too, he's finally he's back in Buffalo now. With his
family. He went back to Buffalo, and now he got released to go home.
So that's great news. It just felt weird that we would upload it and then just kind of not talk about it. So I just figured we put it there, and I'm so glad it worked out. So
yeah, that was a nice job by you. And side note, he has a charity that he had a goal of $2,500 to help buy toys, I think, for local youth. And after his injury, there was more than 220,000 people donated, and he raised over $7 million for his charity. So, and apparently a lot of those donations came from people in Cincinnati and what have you. So it's not real nice gesture, you know.
I saw a lot of links to it on social media.
And the NFL did a really nice job of, you know, paying homage to him around the league. And did you see the interview with Josh Allen after their game with Miami? Because, you know, they took the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. He said he had talked to I want to say head trainer, but that wasn't right. He talked to like the head statistician, and the guy had told him it had been 3 years and 3 months since they had took a kickoff back for a touchdown. And he goes, well, if you don't believe in God and Almighty, then he goes, that just kind of shows you right there, you know, some higher powers at work. So.
No, yeah, I did see that. I think they gave him, the head trainer, the ball too.
Yeah, they really complimentary. He came out, diagnosed the situation really quickly, and performed CPR on him, and they credited this gentleman for saving his life. I don't have his name. Unfortunately. I mean, if you want to find it, I'm sure you can Google it and come up with it really easy out there. But yeah, props to him because just his quick response and you know, knowing what the situation was and addressing it, and you know, getting right to performing CPR, you know, probably saved his life. And I know sometimes that sounds like hyperbole when somebody says, "Well, you saved my life." Well, you know, he actually saved somebody's life. So, you know, props to him. And I know there's been some campaigning to put him directly into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So,
or retire his number. So, but I'm glad.
Well, I meant the head trainer, not DeMar.
I thought you meant DeMar.
No, the head trainer. So,
yeah.
Because I don't think he has a number. So.
Well, he could. Who knows? Well, glad for DeMar Hamlin.
Yes.
And now, well, remember how I said I had to transition to get into something?
Mm-hmm.
And then I brought up Vince McMahon because we talked about a certain WWE topic. And if for some reason you just took it to DeMar Hamlin instead, let's get to the actual segue that I was trying to do. Stephanie McMahon resigned from her position in WWE. That's what I was trying to get to. But shout out to DeMar Hamlin. I couldn't have just interrupted DeMar Hamlin's segment. You see what I was trying to do?
Yeah, but it just was topical, so that's why I went that
way.
Well,
but if I'm doing a segue, why would you segue from my segue?
We circled back around, and here we are.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. Oh, I just brought up Vince McMahon and the WWE rambling. Oh, let's talk about DeMar Hamlin. Oh, let's go back to the WWE now.
All right, you want to restart?
No, I don't want to restart. This is good. Viewers can see what the hell I'm dealing with.
Viewers?
Here. The listeners can figure out what I'm dealing with.
What am I wearing?
Well, viewers, YouTube, they're watching that video of the still image of Fast Intentions.
What color are my underwear? SpongeBob reference. Sorry.
All right. Well, let's get to Stephanie McMahon resigning from her position after Vince McMahon got back on the board of directors by kicking 2 people off the board of directors and putting in 2 of his homies on there, and then they all unanimously voted for him to be the head of the chair or whatever. Basically, he kicked 2 people off, put 2 of his people... No, he kicked 3 people off, put him and 2 of his people on there, and then they all voted him to be the head of the chair again.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, so Vince McMahon weaving his way back in there. And days after that, Stephanie McMahon decides she wants to step down from her position. Coincidence? Probably not.
No.
Well, because Vince wants to sell the business, and apparently Triple H and Stephanie McMahon do not want him to.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough dynamic, you know, dealing with your father and then having differing opinions. But, you know, he's always been about the almighty dollar.
Yeah, he's a little egomaniac.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the sexual assault allegation and then him just coming back doesn't probably help. Stephanie McMahon's probably like, it's probably good for him to get away, and then he comes right back. Especially when her husband's taking over and he's trying to do a good job. I think she
definitely
probably feels conflicted about that.
Mm-hmm.
But the controversy about that is who they're going to sell it to. Disney has always been a big market or a big contender. And then now apparently there's rumors that the Saudi Arabia company that has Live Golf is trying to buy it too. Because WWE has all those Saudi Arabia shows.
Mm-hmm.
But there's rumors that if the Saudi Arabia team buys it, that a bunch of wrestlers are going to walk out. So that may kind of negate that. And there's also rumors that Tony Khan and what's his dad's name? The guy who owns the Jaguars with the cool mustache.
Omar?
Shad Khan.
Shad Khan?
Yeah, Shad Khan.
Shaka Khan?
He owns
Shaka Khan?
You know who I'm talking about, the guy who owns the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Well, there's rumors that they're interested in buying WWE and merging it with All Elite Wrestling. And they said, I don't know how true.
I'm sure those guys would be excited.
Yeah, rumors. But
Shit.
they said they'll be willing to cooperate with Vince McMahon and even give him a job. But I don't think Vince McMahon's going to have any loathing to do that.
I don't.
But how interesting would that be? It all just comes together. And then we can see Kenny Omega and WWE. Or the Young Bucks. Or Chris Jericho back there again. So, who knows?
Who knows?
CM Punk, no, I guess he got kicked out of All Elite Wrestling, so he still won't be back with WWE. So, shout out to CM Punk. He's still the man, even though rumors are that a lot of people don't like him. But he's still my favorite wrestler. So,
Well, that's part of his shtick. He's kind of a heel. So
well, he's good. He's a great heel. He's a good face too. But I think he's just he's one of those guys that in real life he won't take any shit, and if there's something wrong, he'll say it to you. That's just the guy he is, and that probably rubs people the wrong way.
yeah, in a corporate-based game like that, you got to be a company man, and if you're not a company man, they don't have much tolerance for you.
Well, it wasn't even that. I think he got in a fight with other wrestlers in the locker room, particularly Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, who I mentioned, because they're executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling. So I think they probably had some say to get him out of there. Because there's a fight, and then CM Punk had a manager who bit Kenny Omega's ear. And then apparently there's rumors that CM Punk's dog was in there, or his cat or something. I know you don't follow wrestling a whole lot, but there you go. There's a little taste for you. But anyways, WWE may be sold. Otherwise, people worried Vince McMahon's going to take over the creative again.
Cats and dogs living together. It's anarchy.
It is anarchy.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Andrew was watching it the other day, and Andrew always quotes that. My aunt.
Hey, Bill Murray's a big fan of the Cubs.
Yeah, I do know he's a big fan. Are you trying to segue?
Yeah, they signed Eric Hosmer. I saw it today, officially.
Okay. I don't remember. Shit, I don't remember the point I was going to make now.
Oh, sorry.
Because you and your segues, we need to work on this next episode. The title of this episode is going to be Playoff Predictions and Segues.
Kingpin's Frustrations.
No, I'm not Kingpin. You can call me, I don't know. I have a lot of nicknames.
I can't say those on the air.
What the hell? That is not true whatsoever. At work, I have 8 nicknames.
Okay, Nipper.
That's a stupid one.
All right.
But I just have to keep it because you gave it to me. So.
Well, you've had that since you're a little wee lad.
Well, you're the only person that calls me it too. So.
Oh.
Well, actually, I don't know how may call me that if you ever saw me. He was at Don Millie's the other day.
Was he?
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Hal for a while.
I gave him a discount.
Oh.
He said, "How's your old man doing?" I said, "He's doing all right." So, he did come in the other day. Speaking of him.
Yeah, I texted him at Christmas and just said, Merry Christmas. Every Christmas I do that. I just go down my roll of contacts, and people don't see regularly. I just send them all Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them I heard back from. Some I didn't. So.
Okay, back to what we were talking about. Eric Hosmer.
Eric Hosmer.
Signed with the Cubs.
Yes.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
It'll be interesting. I mean, they're a young, rebuilding team, as we talked about with Dansby Swanson. But, it's always good to have a veteran presence in there. And I'm sure his contract, I didn't see the parameters of it, but I'm sure it
can't be much.
It's probably a 1 or 2 year deal, probably maybe $8 million.
I think it's I want to say it's 1.6
per year. Was it 1 year?
Yeah, I think it's 1 year.
Yeah, I knew it wouldn't be much. I just saw that he signed with the Cubs, and I know you were a big fan of him because he said he shouldn't sign with the Yankees after playing with the Red Sox. So.
Damn sure that's a fan in my book right away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shout out Eric Hosmer. He had a nice 2-month stint with the Red Sox. So.
I still have a couple. I have a jersey and a T-shirt with his name and number on it still.
Yeah, I bet. I was kind of hoping they keep him. They need a first baseman. But I think Red Sox have a young first baseman. Mm-hmm. So speaking of the Red Sox,
okay.
Yeah, the title of this episode is going to be Segways. They did one of the 2 things I wanted them to do.
Yes, they did, and they did it in a big, big way.
Well, obviously.
Knocked Aaron Judge out of the water.
Did it knock Aaron? How much did Aaron Judge make?
$325, wasn't it?
Aaron Judge?
Wasn't that his contract? $325.
I don't know, but Devers is less money.
Devers $331.
No, it's $313.
I thought it was $331. I saw it.
Okay,
the
well,
numbers transposed.
How many years?
What did 11?
Okay, so they agreed to an arbitration this year, which was like a 1-year deal, and then after that they signed him to a 10-year extension. So in total, it's like 11 years.
Oh, I see.
But the
Okay.
actual extension, I think, is 10 years, 313 and a half, is what I have, which is great for the Red Sox. They should have done this a long time ago, but I think he's 26 now, is what I just looked up, and he's one of the best third basemen in baseball. Saying basemans and balls, baseball, basemen. It's hard to say that all together.
I got you, Drift. I didn't question you at all.
Yeah, you were kind of staring at me like you did.
I was just waiting for you to come around, get that tongue working. That's all, folks.
I'm gonna. No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say the joke I was gonna say.
That's good.
Yeah, but Devers, they got him locked up, which is good. Still don't know what the Red Sox are trying to do, if they're trying to compete, which it looks like they are, but then they won't sign their all MLB shortstop and let them go to the Padres.
Had this conversation.
Which we've had this conversation before.
Well,
but even if
you've had it. I've listened.
Even if they try to compete, which is probably not going to work, they're probably still not going to make the playoffs next year, in my opinion. But and then when they finally decide to rebuild, they have Devers there the rest of the way to rebuild around him. So even if this turns into a big fail, they still have Devers. So in the long run, it's not too bad. So if they had got rid of Bogarts and then said, okay, we're just going to restart from the beginning, I'd be more okay with it now as opposed to signing this big Trevor Story deal. Oh, we're going to compete because we're 2 wins away from the World Series. And then Trevor Story is now hurt and he's going to be out for the year. And now they have nowhere to go. So that's just great. So they're kind of in a similar situation to another one of my teams we'll get to later. But then, I know this is going to be your segment, the next baseball topic we have. Because you have the vision for how we want to do this. Correct?
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think you're referring to Mr. Correa.
Yes, I am referring to Mr. Correa.
Yeah, he's back on the market. Or he was back on the market. And I guess he couldn't pass his physical with the Mets, and so the physicians wouldn't allow him to sign the deal because he didn't pass their medical. So he was back on the market looking for a new team, and so we spun the wheel of choices to see what he would end up and where he would end up. And he had some suitors, out there, and after the wheel came to a stop, he ended up back in Minnesota where he started this whole thing.
Woo!
Yep.
It's kind of how it turned out. Can't sign here. What guy's here? Fuck it, just spin the wheel. Oh, ends up with the Twins again.
Yeah.
So,
what was the parameters? 6-year deal, wasn't it?
6 years, $200 million.
That's not too bad.
So still good money.
It seemed like every team he went to, he got a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. So.
Well, granted, this is half the years the Mets and the Giants offered him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still a great deal for Carlos Correa. Obviously, though, it's not the longevity that baseball players desire. Because if you get these 13 years deals, you're pretty much set for the rest of your career.
Well,
which I think what most people is what they want.
I think it's a pretty good deal for the Twins, lengthwise, and then having a healthy Carlos Correa there will draw attendance, and I think they'll be competitive. I mean, the AL Central is there's not one dominant team out there right now. Cleveland's kind of in the midst of coming out of a rebuild, and who knows what the White Sox are doing.
The White Sox are taking a big step back.
The Royals don't seem to be trying to push the ball too far forward right now. They seem to be content with what they have, and they've made a few minor additions, but they didn't spend any money. And it's kind of surprising because, they're making a push for that new downtown ballpark. And, you need to be hitting your stride about the time you want that park to open so you can get attendance and people coming. I mean, the nuance of it being new and the area and stuff will be a draw for a while. But, I mean, when that dies off, you have to have a good product on the field. And, I mean, I guess they're really banking on the guys they have and their minor leaguers. So,
well, the Royals are in a full rebuild.
Yes.
The Tigers are more along in their rebuild, I think, than the Royals are because they have a lot of young pieces at the major league level. Like you said, Cleveland's kind of getting out of there. I think they're probably going to be the favorites in the division again. The Twins will be up there, and then the White Sox their expectations were not met whatsoever last year, and they haven't done anything to address it really. So we'll see how that turns out. They'll probably take another step back.
And the Braves gone. So.
Yep. So I think it's probably going to be. It could be a Guardians Twins race this year, and unfortunately, Carlos Correa will only help that. So, because the Twins when they won the division a few years ago, and then they got swept by the Yankees, they were last place that next year, weren't they? They had like a big fall off. So they're kind of trying to rebound from that because the Twins for a while looked like the young promising team to take over that division for a while. But and then the Guardians had fallen off from their World Series run against the Cubs, but now they're back in it. So AL Central it's kind of wide open. So maybe not as shut and closed as the other two are, because the East is going to be probably the Yankees again. The West would be a nice race between the Astros and the Mariners. Maybe the Rangers would be for a wild card, I think. So with their big starting rotation upgrade.
It's possible.
So yeah, that's all the baseball talk I had until the Nuggets section. I had a few more things to talk about. So where do you want to head next?
Well, we have a lot of football in the docket. We can talk about the college championship game a little bit.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way.
Between the Bulldogs and the Horned Frogs, which turned out not to be much of a contest. But I kind of saw this, I kind of foreshadowed this a little bit last episode. I didn't see this domination, because I gave TCU more credit after they dismantled, or not dismantled, but they beat Michigan. But, I did mention how the fact that Georgia just sneaking by Ohio State would give them more incentive to probably knuckle down and, really double their focus on a title. And, TCU caught Michigan off guard, or, Michigan maybe took them lightly. But, if that had been the title game, TCU, great, you did it. But then to turn around and start to play the overwhelming favorite from the beginning of the year to win the championship just didn't go well. I mean, Georgia was ready for him, had him studied pretty well. Unfortunately, TCU didn't play their best game. They probably played their best game against Michigan and just couldn't repeat it. And just with all the athletes Georgia has, and, the quarterback.
38-year-old quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, Georgia was just really dominant right from the get-go. And the game was over at halftime. I know people say that, but, I mean, it was 31 or 38-7, I believe, at halftime. And
it's over.
And then they just cruised to a 66-7 win and set the record for most points scored in a national championship game, knocking off Nebraska, yeah, when they beat Florida, 62-24. So thanks, Georgia, for knocking the Huskers out of the record books. But Max Duggan from across the river on Council Bluffs, had a great year, but unfortunately he just didn't play very well, and the Bulldogs took advantage and, like I said, just kind of ran away with it. So, I mean, there's not much you can say. It just was a dominant performance from the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I don't remember the words you just said. Whatever, they didn't play a great game. That was the understatement of the year, I'll say. I didn't watch any of it because I was working, but I was like, well, that's not competitive. I'm not going to watch that. Shout out to the poor guy and the TCU fan in the drive-thru. Got his double cheeseburger meal. I said, you going to go watch the game? He goes, yep, I'm getting ready to watch it. He probably was sad by halftime, so. Shout out that guy. That's all I got to say about that.
His fries are probably soggy at halftime, too.
Also, I don't know how much my stepmom Lisa still cares about TCU, but she did for a little bit. So.
Oh, she was tweeting some stuff after they beat Michigan and going into the game. But.
And plus, Max Duggan's a local kid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's probably rooting for him. But, yeah. Sorry, TCU got the butts kicked. Sorry.
I think she's more of a TCU baseball fan. But
that's because TCU's always at the College World Series every year.
Yeah. And I think she just follows the rest of the sports by association. So,
well, yeah. Oh, and shout out CBS Sports and all these other stupid publications that keep doing this. You've probably seen them too. Those damn articles. Oh, the surprising teams that could be competitive next year. To have a TCU-like run, and I see freaking Nebraska in those articles every week. Stop hyping this train up. Nebraska's at his lowest point. We got Matt Rule. He's bringing a lot of excitement. This is good. Stop exceeding the expectations again. This is what always happens. Oh, we're going to be super, super good. See, look, he's got his new Matt Rule t-shirt on. You can't see it, but it says Rule Today on it. Yes. This is what happened. Oh, the hometown boys coming back. We're going to be competing for championships again.
Well, that's just, clickbait, as they say, kind of. The season's over. Well, they got to start, filling space
Well, this isn't like
That's going to be their, look forward to next year and way too early mock drafts and.
Well, it's not clickbait. That's just an article.
Well, they're just trying to fill space.
Clickbait's different.
Yes, I know.
And then why'd you call it clickbait?
That's because that's just trying to get people to read the articles.
Well,
same difference.
Not really, but not really.
I know what I meant.
Not really. There's a difference.
I know what I meant.
No, but stop hyping up Nebraska. We're on a good path, and we don't need to exceed the path that we're on. We're keeping it steady. And Matt Rule's supposed to be visiting that Raiola kid in Arizona this week.
Arizona.
So shout out to him. But I also saw Georgia.
Shout out to Raiola or shout out to Matt Rule?
Shout out to Raiola because we want him to come here. But
to play with his uncle?
Yes. But there's an article that also said Georgia's the favorite to land him now. So we don't want that.
Yeah, I saw some guy online and said Nebraska gets mentioned, but I think they're like a distant third behind Georgia and somebody else, he said. Maybe USC or something like that. I don't know. But
yeah, screw him.
Yeah, he don't know what he's talking about.
Exactly. He wants to come.
GBR.
He wants to come to the good life. It's not that great, but we got a nice football team. Or a good football program, I'll say. We haven't had a good team for a while. Okay. Now the big portion of this episode, which is also going to be, like I said, this episode's called Playoff Predictions and Segways. The NFL section, of the podcast begins.
Let's segue away from that then.
Oh, okay. We'll segue away from that. Okay. Well, I'll leave this up to you. We have NFL news to talk about, and we have our playoff prediction. Well, I have my playoff predictions, and you're going to follow suit. But I'll mark yours down, too, so we'll remember.
That's called a tease, folks. He's teasing.
Yeah, do you want to do the news first or the playoff prediction?
Let's do the news.
We'll do the news? Okay. Do you have news to start off with, or am I going to? I think one of yours is... I think that's
what. Touching my notes.
I think that's what.
Get your pen off my notes.
Yeah. So that's we have the same of that. That note right there. That note right there. We have the same.
Get your elbow out of my potato salad.
Stop stepping in my potato salad. It's your elbow in your ribs.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta make the right SpongeBob reference.
Dang it.
All right.
Nosferatu.
What the hell's Nosferatu?
When he has the hash-slinging slasher.
Oh yeah.
He's flipping the lights on and off.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob's
the inner imagination of my mind is an enigma.
And SpongeBob is blaming Squidward, and he goes, "There's two things wrong with your theory." And I can't remember what the first one is. He goes, the second one is, "I'm standing right here." So,
the first thing I had is Cliff Kingsbury got fired as the head coach of the
you got his name right this time.
What, did I not say it right the last time?
No, but I let you slide.
How did I say it last time?
I don't remember. You have to go back and listen, but I was like,
I said it on the episode?
Mm-hmm.
When did I mention Cliff Kingsbury?
Because you had... You're talking about your 7th seed in the playoffs. You had Arizona as your wild card team.
Oh, last episode.
Yeah.
I thought you meant this episode. I go, when the hell did I mention Cliff Kingsbury?
No. Watch your language. No, I meant last episode.
How'd I say it? Cliff Kingsbury?
I don't remember.
I screw up my letters and words.
That's fine.
I screw that up. Okay, leave me alone. I have a lot of energy though, so that makes up for
it. 5-hour energy?
Yeah. No, you hear my breathing every episode too. So that. Okay, but Cliff Kingsbury got fired as the coach of the Cardinals.
He did.
After receiving a 5-year extension last offseason.
These owners just throw away money.
So I mean, I kind of saw it coming. A lot of people kind of. Goddamn it, I'm gonna keep saying that now. A lot of people questioned it when he got hired in the first place.
Speaking of that, last episode you said, after I just said kinda like 8 times in this last sentence, and then your next sentence, like the second word you said was kind of again.
I told you.
I had to laugh.
It's natural. I'm doing it for the humor.
Oh, yes.
Now stop referencing my mistakes from last episode and let's actually get going.
I'm kind of sorry about that.
You're lucky I can't mute you. I'll just unplug it right now. Okay, he got fired. What do you have to say about it? Because I'm not going to say anything because I'm just going to screw something up like last episode.
Can you hear me from your mic? Sorry, he didn't unplug my mic. I'm teasing.
Yeah.
It's one of these things like we talked about with Hackett. A team with high expectations especially on offense with Murray and all the weapons he had around him, and it just didn't meet expectations. And then Murray got hurt, and people question that kind of offense, running that kind of offense, that college style offense in the pros, and he's been there 4 years? Did you say
3 or 4 years? As
3 or
long
4
as
years.
because they hired him right when they drafted Kyler.
Yeah, they
because
hired
of the connection.
Yeah, because was successful in college. So I mean, he's had a chance to make it work, and I don't think their defense is all that great, but I mean they have really good pieces, and but they were relying on their offense to carry him, and it just, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. I mean, I had Kyler Murray as my quarterback in my fantasy league. Side note, and so I was kind of watching that every week, and I go, "What the hell is going on with that offense?" Because I expected a lot more out of them.
Yeah, tell me about that with the damn Broncos.
But so you're coming in as an offensive guru, offensive mind, and you don't have no offense. Well,
kind of screwed. But that's what happened with Hackett too.
So we'll see.
But no, that's kind of like I said. That's why I picked him because yes, DeAndre Hopkins was suspended the first 5 games, but you thought they had enough offensively, and then with the strides Kyler Murray made, he was like MVP front runner for a little bit last year when they were 8-0.
Yeah,
so you just expected it to continue, and then nothing really showed.
Well, James Conner got hurt too pretty early in the year, and he was going to be the bell cow. And
yeah,
so
well, I liked James Conner a lot. He's going to be a great guy, great player, great guy. He's going to be a great player. But yeah, it just didn't work out. Didn't kind of saw it coming, and the other one we saw coming was Lovie Smith. He got fired the next day after the season end. We call it Black Monday. Is that what they call it? Or Dark Monday? Yeah. Whatever. Well, he got fired right away. I know you didn't like the hire right away.
Thurston Howell wasn't very happy about Lovey being hired. So.
Well, it just kind of depends. If there was no one in the head coaching market that they really liked the year before, may as well promote promote the guy that was already in your organization because he's familiar with the players and just give him a chance. And then obviously the Texans weren't going to do nothing, so this is just a perfect excuse to fire him and hopefully get someone they want.
He can bring some stability to the program, if you want to make sure everything kind of holds together until you decide what your future is going to be. But Lovey's proven in the pros and in college that he's not a successful head coach. I mean, he's a good guy. People like him.
He's got a nice beard.
He's got a good beard. And he's a pretty good defensive mind, but he's just not head coach material. And to me, why you keep running these retreads out there that aren't going to be successful instead of just trying to hire some young upcomer. I don't know, but like I said, maybe they want some stability for the program, and there was a lot of turmoil when they with the running back they had who didn't want to be there, and or was it the receiver? I'm like drawing a blank now. They had that big receiver. It was DeAndre Hopkins who they traded away for that running back, I guess. Now that I think about it, it was DeAndre Hopkins.
Was DeAndre Hopkins not happy, or I thought Bill O'Brien was just an idiot?
Well, a little bit of both, probably.
Oh, you mean Deshaun Watson?
No, I'm talking about Houston.
No,
they had a receiver that they traded, a really good receiver they traded for a running back.
Yeah, DeAndre
because
Hopkins.
He wasn't happy. And
well, I didn't know it was. Yeah, who are you talking about? Oh my God, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So
look it up.
All right,
now I know what you're talking about.
You feel the airways.
Well, at first when you're talking about DeAndre Hopkins, I was like, well, no, that was just Bill O'Brien being a stupid GM, which we all knew he was. That's still a terrible trade. They give a DeAndre Hopkins, who was the best receiver in the league, for David Johnson, who had that one good year with the Cardinals, and then he unfortunately tore his ACL or something.
Yeah.
So, shout out David Johnson, whatever he's doing. Does he still play football? Probably. I don't know if he's playing for a team right now.
I haven't seen his name, so.
Yeah, so I'm kind of stalling while he figures out who that disgruntled receiver was.
They traded DeAndre Hopkins and a 2020 4th-round pick to the Texans for David Johnson. No, they got them, and then Texans got David Johnson and a 2020 2nd and 4th-round pick.
But that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, Kingsbury was the coach then.
But we're talking about Lovie Smith. We're not talking about Kingsbury. Who's the receiver that got traded this year? Oh, I'm talking about Robbie Anderson. That's what I'm thinking of. Oh, remember Robbie Anderson got pissed off and he got out of there?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, no. I was talking about this big trade from a few years ago.
Okay, so what did that have to do with Lovie Smith?
No, I don't remember.
I was going to say, I don't think Lovie Smith was the coach at the time.
You segued me, and I forgot what I was talking about.
Okay, well, Well, anyways, I don't think Love. I don't know what the hell we just did.
Well, we were talking about. You mentioned Houston, and I just remember that trade.
No, I didn't. You were talking about Lovie Smith.
Yeah, but he was coaching Houston.
Yeah, but that trade was before he was even coaching Houston.
Well, I'm just saying.
That was Bill O'Brien,
Yeah,
GM and head coach.
I know.
Okay.
Let's move on.
All right. Either way, was Lovie Smith the long-term solution? No. But a stability guy to get him a year, maybe, and hope there's new head coaching candidates, I thought he was okay. And shout out Davis Mills, but he's not the quarterback of the future. C.J. Stroud is probably going to be number 2, unless the Bears trade it away. Because I don't think the Bears are going to take a quarterback. But they said they could if they were blown away, is what their GM said. So, didn't you have your draft order too?
Yeah, but I'm afraid to segue to that because you're very defensive about segues today.
I'm not defensive about segue. I don't like it when you segue out of my segue.
Oh, I see.
But if you segue, that's fine.
Oh, I see.
Segues are very important to the show.
There's segue parameters that apparently I'm not following.
I'm trying to get more of the debate part this episode.
Yes.
Can you tell?
Yes.
I think I'm doing a great job of it.
You're doing a fine job.
We need to get more of our personalities in this show.
Okay.
Let's just say
Okay,
that.
Kingpin.
Stop calling me Kingpin.
There. The artist formerly known as the Kingpin.
Okay.
Now he just has a symbol. It's a middle finger.
Call me.
Yeah, the NFL has solidified the top 18 picks for the draft next year.
Oh yeah.
So Chicago did secure the number 1 pick. Houston second, followed by Arizona, the Colts, Seattle via the Broncos and the Russell Wilson deal. Then comes Detroit via the Rams and the Stafford deal.
Oh, Jesus.
Then you have the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. You have the Falcons and Carolina and the Eagles. And they got that pick compliments of a deal they made with the Saints. That's your top 10.
What the heck they trade to the Saints?
I couldn't find that information readily.
Okay.
Tennessee was 11. The Texans were 12 because of the Watson trade.
Oh, yes.
13 come the New York Jets. The 14's the Patriots. 15's your Green Bay Packers.
Oh yeah, baby.
16's the Commanders. 17 is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well.
And 18's the Lions again. And Miami forfeited their pick because of the collusion and all that, with the Sean Payton deal and all that. We talked about a few episodes ago.
Oh yeah, that was like second episode.
And Houston and Detroit both ended up with 2 first-round picks. Now, going through this list, I see 7 teams I think would draft a quarterback. I have the Texans.
Yep.
The Colts.
Yep.
Seattle.
Yep.
Detroit.
Yep.
Las Vegas.
Yep.
Carolina. And Washington.
Yes.
Now, as you just said, I don't really see Chicago needing a quarterback. And, I mean, they're kind of committed to Fields. It's only his second or third year. So what I would see is possibly one of these other teams trading up and moving into Chicago's spot.
There are lots of rumors of that.
Yeah, and I could see Detroit possibly with 2 first-round picks, maybe them using like this probably the second of their picks, which is 18, which is kind of low. Maybe they could do deal with Chicago. I don't see Houston doing anything. They're sitting solid at number 2. There's at least 4 potential quarterbacks out there, and so they could just sit tight and get their pick of, and they might get the guy they think's their best quarterback. Like we talked about, sometimes there's 4 quarterbacks. Each team evaluates them different,
Yeah.
so what have you.
It just depends, because I think Stroud's the consensus number 1 pick currently. So
well, Bryce Young from Atlanta.
Is it Bryce Young or
Yeah,
Stroud?
I think it's Bryce Young from what I've
Or it could
seen
be
so
Bryce
far,
Young.
but-
I saw a report about something. I may have just got the names wrong. Well, it depends. If like Bryce Young's the consensus number 1, and the Texans really like him, and they're scared someone might trade up, maybe they'll do something. But if they're like comfortable with Stroud above Young and they think he'll be there, they may not. It just depends on kind of how the mock goes,
Yeah.
and what teams are thinking.
Well, the combine and the individual workouts and stuff will have a big impact on all this going forward. I mean, so this is just some kind of periphery analysis. There'll be a lot more going on as the season progresses, and unfortunately, I did list our teams in this lineup. The Packers did lose to the Lions, eliminating them.
Yeah.
The Steelers did win, which I was very very happy with. I mean, they played very well. New England cooperated, but Miami unfortunately didn't. But
the damn shit bowl screwed them.
Yeah,
9-6.
But actually, I think this might benefit the Steelers more in the long run. The season ended on a positive note for them. They were finished above 500. They're 9-8. Have a good feeling about the team going into the offseason. And instead of, going to Buffalo again or what have you, and probably getting their butts kicked all over the field again, and feeling bad about themselves. The season ends on a good note. We won the game we were supposed to win, and the only reason we're not playing in the playoffs is because another team, won. So I think in the long run this will probably be better for the team going into the off season with a positive note, and they should have some motivation going into the next season to play better.
Yeah, how's the free agency outlook looking for the Steelers? I don't know their whole cap situation and all that.
They have a few guys that there'll be some questions about, like Devin Bush and people like that. I haven't really analyzed it too far because it's the season just got over. But Pittsburgh's never really a big player in the free agent market. I mean, like I mentioned, James Daniels, and for them that was a big move. But they definitely need some offensive line help. Maybe 2 of their picks should go to offensive line. And then, of course, they could always shore up the defense. They're always looking for some players that might slide down a little bit. But they, I think they're picking 17th here, and they do have like the 32nd pick, which is technically a first-round pick because Miami doesn't have one because they got Chicago's second-round pick for Chase Claypool.
Jesus, what a terrible trade.
No, that was a great trade.
That was a terrible trade. What did Chase Claypool do for the Bears? Nothing.
Not much.
I haven't seen a single Chase Claypool Bears highlight.
I've seen a couple, but
I haven't seen. Well, I don't watch the Bears anyways. Yeah. I don't watch shitty teams play, except Green Bay. That's the only shitty team I watch.
But I don't want to dwell on this too long because, like I said, we have a long way to go. But I did see this is the first time Chicago will be picking number 1 since 1947.
That's a long time.
So, and I think they said they had 3 in a 3 or 4 year period. They had 3 of the number 1 picks. Was it? No, maybe it was. Well, I know 47 was the last time. I think they said they had the number 1 pick in maybe 41 and 43 or something like that.
It's not a Fast Tense episode without knowing something.
That's right. Yeah. That's our signature.
And they want to have the second pick if it wasn't for Davis Mills and the 2-point conversion against whoever they played. I don't remember who they played. Speaking of don't remember things.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I think it was the Colts.
It was the Colts.
Yeah, it was the Colts.
All right, so that's a little nugget on the draft coming up.
Yes, I agree with all those teams that probably want quarterbacks, unless they feel comfortable giving Geno another year. If they don't want any of those quarterbacks, and if Detroit's very content on Jared Goff, which they said they are, but who knows how accurate that is.
Yeah, well, Geno Smith's maybe got another year or 2 under his belt at most, and so if you're Seattle, you have a chance to get a young guy in there and maybe let him sit the bench for a year and kind of figure the game. That's always the best case scenario is that you can get a young quarterback and have him sit on the bench and just kind of observe and learn the game and maybe get a few reps in garbage time or whatever. But
yeah, we got one that's been sitting there for 6 years. It feels like now.
With that, and then look at San Francisco. They're a 7th round pick. Mr. Irrelevant's starting for them in the playoffs. So
yeah, he may be taking that spot over.
Same with Miami. Well, of course, they don't have Mr. Irrelevant, but I think they picked their quarterback in the 6th round. So a lot of young rookies going to get their feet wet this weekend.
Okay. And speaking of quarterback situations, I have 2 notes on that.
Okay.
First one is Derek Carr saying goodbye to the Raiders.
Na 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 na. Hey hey hey.
Copyright.
Goodbye.
So Derek Carr posted on Instagram a big long thing. I'm not going to read or quote because didn't read the whole thing. But basically, he's just thinking Raider Nation. I did read part of it. He said he still has the fire and the hunger to win a championship, and he's excited to go to a new team to do it. So basically, I think we mentioned this before. He has that pay bonus that kicks in February 15th. Yeah. So they have to trade him by then.
Yep.
Otherwise, if they don't want to give him that money, they'll have to cut him. And then he'll be able to go wherever he wants. But the thing, Derek Carr has a no-trade clause. So if they do want to trade him somewhere, he can just veto it. So that's a good scenario for him. At least he can kind of be like, well, if I'm going to get traded, I want to go here.
And if he is traded to one of these teams we mentioned, of course, that'll shake up their draft and what they plan on doing. And I'm sure there'll be a draft pick involved, and whether or not they can get a first-round pick for him remains to be seen. I kind of doubt it. Maybe a second at best. Probably a third. Multiple picks. Probably a third being the highest.
Well, what are your thoughts about the Raiders trying to get rid of Derek Carr?
Well,
Do you think it's a smart move, bad move?
Well, apparently they just don't believe in him. It's not like they're rebuilding, or they have a good team. It's not like they're starting with a bunch of young guys or whatever. I mean, they have an established team with a lot of veterans and what have you. So it's just apparently they're unhappy with him, and he wasn't what they thought he was going to be, I guess. So
well, maybe they just want Tom Brady.
Well,
which is what all the rumors are saying now.
Yeah, but I would take Derek Carr over Tom Brady going forward.
Well, who knows with Tom Brady? You
Yes.
could just decide to hang him up eventually.
Yeah.
Well, we've been saying that for 10 years, but Jesus Christ. Yeah, and then who knows what Devontae Adams is going to do, because he literally wanted to go to the Rays just so he could play with Derek Carr, and now they're getting rid of him. So we'll see if that turns into a debacle too. But I did mark this down too because I thought it was funny. They said the Colts are not interested in trading for Derek Carr. So the Colts are finally tired of trading for old quarterbacks to fill in because it hasn't worked out. Phil Rivers, at least they made the playoffs. Carson Wentz didn't work. Matt Ryan didn't work. They're saying, all right, let's just draft someone and develop them. So I thought that was funny. And then the last one, I know you say I talk about the Packers too much, but I had to mention Aaron Rodgers and the rumors of him retiring start again.
Well,
so that'll be interesting.
You saw the transaction with that Jameson Williams after the game.
Yeah, and when they asked him for the jersey, he said, "Nah, I'll keep it."
He goes, "I think I want to keep this one." So.
Yeah, but he said that wasn't nothing. But I mean,
well, of course he's going to say that because then that leads to more questions.
Well, no, I was with Steve, obviously watching the game at the bar.
Shout out to Steve.
Yeah, shout out to Steve. He probably doesn't listen to this, but well, when we were,
he might. I told him we mentioned him, so he's like,
well, they showed Aaron Rodgers walking off the field, and he was doing that thing where he looked around, and then he was like, had his arm around Randall Cobb, and they all looked teary-eyed, and they were walking off together. I said, that looks like an Aaron Rodgers plays last game kind of moment. But then he said he wants to think about it. He did the same thing last year.
Well,
it depends if people want to come back.
It could have been Randall Cobb playing his last game
in Green Bay, because I think he's a free agent now. But
no, he might. He's an older guy. He might be done. I mean,
he could be done. But I think another team would sign him. But that's the thing. Green Bay needs to figure out what they're going to do. Do they want to keep Rodgers still? They have Jordan Love waiting, because I doubt Jordan Love's going to want to sit another year. Eventually, his agent's going to be like, all right, you got to trade us to do something, because we're not just going to keep sitting here forever. But I was looking, I go, well, Aaron Rodgers come back, they can figure it out. But Green Bay has no cap space to do anything. They're like millions in the hole. The only way they can free up cap space if they cut like Bakhtiari, Preston Smith, or there's another guy that they could cut to save salary.
Well, they'll probably renegotiate some contracts and make some of the salary into a signing bonus, and then that'll cut some other cap.
That's what they did last year. They were able to sign all those defensive guys.
Well, they end up doing it every year with some guys.
So
I'm sure if Aaron wants to come back, I'm sure they can make it happen.
No, they'll make it happen. Well, he's got his money guaranteed, I think, unless he retires. So technically, it's hard. It's hard though, because do I think they could compete? Maybe if they make a few moves, but that's like 2 years down the line. Is Aaron Rodgers going to stay for 2 more years? At that point, you're kind of tempted to just get Jordan Love in there, because if Aaron Rodgers is there 2 more years, we may not even have Jordan Love, and we're just going to have to get another quarterback. We'll have to trade him. But then do we want to trade Aaron Rodgers, who's been loyal to us for 12 years? And I've watched carry us through multiple playoff games, and then the defense lets him down. And then when the defense is finally good, he lets us down. So, or did they just ride it out? It depends on what they want to do. Because I think, obviously, Aaron Rodgers deserves the right to be there as long as he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the timeline fits more towards a Jordan Love type move. I think Jordan Love may be the answer at the time. It's a confusing situation. I think at the best case scenario for me is Aaron Rodgers decides, this is it, I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to retire. It's been fun. I got to be with the Packers for the rest of my career. And then Jordan Love takes the reins, and then they look forward to competing 2 years.
Well, I think it's fairly obvious that Aaron's skills have diminished a little bit.
Yes.
So it just depends,
Yeah,
what he wants. He's got the position where he can make demands, and then the team and the owners have to say, well, we're not good with that, or we're going to move on, or and then does Aaron still want to play? I mean, there's a lot of questions to be answered. So,
yeah.
I mean, last year Packers, pretty much, brought in guys that he wanted. He wanted specific guys like Cobb, like you mentioned, to come in, and the Packers went and got these guys, and they do have a young core receivers who look like they might, be potential stars. So they have pieces. They just need to, shore up his line, and they do need some more pieces on defense. So
what do you think they need on defense?
Oh, probably need some defensive line. They've always kind of struggled to rush the passer. I mean, if they could get a dominant tackle or end, that would be nice. With the way the league's going, you always can use another DB or safety. So
they need safety.
I think their linebackers are pretty strong. I mean, so
that Quay Walker who got ejected, he looked promising. Devontae Campbell's still there. The corners are pretty set with Jair, Eric Stokes, and Rasul Douglas. Those three. Safety is kind of a question mark. Amos is probably going to go because I don't think they can afford to re-sign him. That Rudy Ford from the practice squad stepped in. He was really good. It'll probably be defensive line, and then the offensive line was really bad this year. And then they signed David Bakhtiari to that big extension, but he can't stay healthy, so he could be a candidate to kind of get cut. But once again, he's like Aaron Rodgers' best friend on the team besides Cobb, so that also plays into it.
Most definitely.
Because he even said in his press conference, it depends on who's coming back and who I'm playing with is a big factor in it. So I don't know what Green Bay should do. I know everyone's saying, well, they should have just traded Rodgers when they had the chance, but easier said than done after he won back-to-back MVPs. So, yeah, it's easy to say it now as opposed to the last offseason. So we'll see how that goes. But now let's stop talking about our loser teams that aren't in the playoffs. Let's talk about the playoffs. Playoffs? We ain't talking about no playoffs. No, we're talking about playoffs. AFC or NFC? Which one you want to start with?
Let's go NFC.
NFC. So, you don't have these marked down, do you? You want me to write them for you?
I have the games written down.
Okay. But we're doing playoff predictions, not wild card predictions. We're doing playoff predictions.
Wasn't the wild card part of the playoffs?
Yes, but I'm saying we're doing past this.
Okay.
Just to let you know.
Okay.
Because we won't be back for 2 weeks, and it'll be conference championships already.
Okay.
So, first game, 49ers versus the Seahawks. Green Bay lost to Detroit, so Geno Smith and the Seahawks sneak in. Pete Carroll should be a candidate for Coach of the Year because that team was at the bottom of the barrel. I'll never forget the post when the season began. Said, how can you even be excited for football when this is your quarterback? In this photo, Geno Smith in the Seahawks uniform. And shout out to him. He set the Seahawks single-season passing record this year.
I tweeted that out.
Did you?
No, just kidding.
Oh, I was going to say you
I thought it, though.
I think it was NFL Memes, which is a great account you should follow.
I picked San Francisco to be in the Super Bowl, so you know my selection.
Are you sticking with that prediction?
I'm taking the 49ers, yes.
I'm taking the 49ers as well. And I don't think it will be particularly close. I like Geno Smith. Well, it depends on how offensively I think they'll keep up, but defensively may be the issue. So, but no, I like Brock Purdy.
Well, it'll be interesting.
The 49ers.
They're getting a lot of storms on the coast, so the weather conditions could play a big role in that game.
Yeah. So, I think Green Bay would have been more fun to watch than the Seahawks, but that's just me. So, and then next is the 6 versus the 3 seed. The New York Giants are going to go to Minneapolis to face the Minnesota Vikings. Ugh.
Speaking of New York Giants, Pro Football Weekly named Brian Daboll as their Coach of the Year.
And speaking of Coach of the Year, another candidate.
Yes. I see this as a fairly close game.
I do too.
I like the Vikings at home to win.
I like the Vikings at home too. I think it comes down to home field advantage, and I think more. I think they have more explosive weapons on their side of the ball on offense. I mean, Saquon Barkley's a beast, but I think with Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, I think they have more offensively to match up against New York. But shout out to New York. Brian Daboll definitely Coach of the Year candidate because no one expected them to do anything either. So,
well, in their eyes, he's not a candidate. He's the winner.
Well, that's what'd you say? Pro Football Focus.
Pro Football Weekly.
Well, we don't care about that. It doesn't matter until AP decides. The Associated Press.
Well, it's like the Golden Globes of
exactly.
Movies.
There you go. And then the Monday Night Football game is the Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Old man Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott. matchup from Week 1, rematch from Week 1 that Tampa Bay beat the Cowboys.
Yeah. Logically, I want to pick the Cowboys, but my head's been telling me that Tampa Bay might end up winning this game.
That's exactly the same thought that went through my mind.
So I'm going to go with Dallas because of their defense. I think they can disrupt the Buccaneer offense enough and get Tom Brady off his marks. And they can defend Mike Evans. It'll be interesting if Tom has a fully healthy receiving core, Chris Godwin and those guys. But yeah, I'll stick with Dallas, and I'll pick Dallas.
Okay, I did the same thing. I picked Dallas. I thought the same thoughts. I go, something's telling me that Tom Brady's gonna stinking win this game for as crappy as they've been all year, but for as inconsistent as poor as they've played, I don't think they deserve the right to even have me predict them to win. So I picked the Cowboys. So
and plus, you think a lot of yourself.
I don't think a lot of myself, but it's just like, yes, it's just Tom Brady, so you just want to give him the edge. But like the Bucs haven't played well all year, so there's no reason for me to have to pick them.
Yeah,
it's just they won that crappy division. But then it's just like, well, it's at home and it's Tom Brady. You never know. But I'm picking the Cowboys. I think overall they're the better football team. So we had the same thing in the NFC. Give me some. Now, that made me nervous for you. My season predictions for the NFL were bad. So if you have the same as me, this may not be good. All right, let's move to the AFC. 5-4 matchup. The Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert makes the playoffs for the first time in his career versus Trevor Lawrence, who also makes the playoffs for the first time in his career, in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who you picking?
This is one of the games I've had most trouble with picking. It's kind of like the Dallas Tampa Bay game. I'm thinking the Chargers, but something keeps telling me that Jacksonville is going to somehow pull this off because the Chargers kind of underperformed, towards the end of the year. They got in, but I think I'm going to take Jacksonville in the upset.
You going to take Jacksonville in the upset?
Yeah.
The home upset?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought the same thing too, but I couldn't get myself to pick them. So I picked the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Because I think overall they're the more talented team. And I think if the Chargers lose this game, Brandon Staley may not be there next year.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be a game for his career. Which is kind of sad because I think Stephen A. Smith said the same thing. So that's not a good sign. But
well, if Austin Eckler can have about 120 yards combined rushing and receiving, that's a good sign for the Chargers.
No, yeah. And then I think Jacksonville's offense is a little too inconsistent. Especially that Saturday game against the Titans. It's just like, ooh. There ain't nothing going on there, and they won based that fumble from Josh Dobbs. Was that like a strip sack? I think they returned for a touchdown. It was something like that.
I didn't see it, so.
But the other Jay Allen returned it for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Next is the 7-2 matchup. The Miami Dolphins, who snuck in with their shootout 9-6 against the Jets, versus the Buffalo Bills.
What was the final score of that? Because I kept seeing 11-6.
Oh, it was 11-6 because the Jets did one of those big laterals, and then they got a safety. It is 11-6.
Okay.
Thank you for correcting me.
No problem.
I remember watching that because I go, ooh. I told Emma, this is going to be a lateral play. This is going to be fun to watch.
I was watching it because Emma, your sister, I was watching on Scorebug because I was rooting for Miami to lose, of course. But
yes,
pretty easy here. Tua's not playing. Teddy Bridgewater's not playing. With the whole DeMar Hamlin thing going on, I see Buffalo winning this pretty easily.
Okay. So
this wasn't a hard game.
I've written it down. Chargers over Jags, 49ers over Seahawks. I put Bills, capital OVER Dolphins.
You spelled it right.
That's not that wasn't the point I was trying to make.
Is that how you like your eggs? Over easy? You like them over easy, the Dolphins? Sorry. Did I just scramble that up?
Hey, no, I'm joking. I'm not going to say that again. No,
sorry.
I was joking. I capitalized over because I think this is going to be a blowout. Bills over the Dolphins.
It should be a sunny side.
Yeah. It'd be more exciting for the Dolphins. Young quarterback in Tua being in the playoffs, but can't really do much.
Yeah, he could be on Mars as far as he knows right now.
Yeah, poor Tua, and there's 3 concussions.
Yes.
And then kind of the same thing. Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens, who don't have Lamar Jackson. And unfortunately for Lamar Jackson, who knows what his future lies. He bet on himself, and unfortunately he can't stay healthy. So now, whatever contract extension he may get is definitely going to be not the money he wants.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Bengals over Ravens.
Easy or?
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be closer than people are making it out to be, but I still think the Bengals are too high powered for Tyler Huntley, who may play, to do anything. Otherwise, it'll be that Anthony Brown again. I think his name was.
Anthony Brown.
What do you think?
I like the Bengals, but they say it's hard for a team to beat another team either 3 times in a row or playing them back-to-back weeks. In this case, it's back-to-back weeks because the Ravens won the first matchup of the year. But I think Bengals kind of established themselves last week, and they were pretty upset by the whole potential playoff scenario if they would have lost. So that gave motivation, and being so close last year, I still think they got strong will and motivation to move forward, and I don't think Baltimore can stave them off. I mean,
they're too high powered for Tyler Huntley to do anything.
Yeah,
they keep up with them.
Baltimore kind of backdoored their way in. I mean, they did enough to get there, but I mean, they didn't finish the season on a very strong note. So
it's hard when your star quarterback can't hit the field. So feel bad for Lamar Jackson. Hopefully, he can get himself healthy, but that's a big question mark for them going in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, all right. So we had the same thing, except you took Jacksonville over the Chargers. So there you go. So we'll go to the NFC because our divisional matches would then be the same. The Vikings would be going to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. And I think you've already made it clear who you're taking.
Well, that was my prediction, so I'm going to stick with it.
You want to stick with
I
it?
I like the Vikings, but I just don't, unless there's some freak weather, system like we just talked about, I don't think they can establish themselves against the strong 49er defense.
I don't think so either. Vikings are frauds, Dad. Vikings are frauds.
Okay.
I'm joking. I don't think they're frauds, but I don't think Kirk Cousins is able enough to go against that high-powered 49ers defense. Brock Purdy's a question mark, but I think him in that system would be fine against the Vikings secondary. So I'm taking the 49ers as well. And then the NFC East matchup, the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Dude, the Cowboys end their 20-year drought of not making the conference championship.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give my prediction?
You can if you want.
I took the Eagles over the Cowboys.
Did you?
Just because Jalen Hurts is there, and he's been great all year except that Commanders game. And Dallas Cowboys have been a little up and down. That's literally what I listened to. They had their highs against the Vikings, and then they'll have weeks against like Green Bay where they struggle in the second half, or like the Washington game where they couldn't get anything going. So I think they're just a little too inconsistent with me. And then especially at Lincoln Financial Field, I like the Eagles. Which I didn't really want to do 1-2 in the conference championship, but it just made the most sense in my
sometimes
prediction.
It goes chalk. I mean, I think if Dallas does survive and knock off Tampa Bay, that'll give them some confidence going into play the Eagles. And they're very familiar with the Eagles, of course. I've played them before. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think the Eagles have enough to pull it off. I see maybe like a 31-27-ish game.
I think it'll be close for sure.
Kind of like that.
Especially because it's a division game in the playoffs. It'll be close, but I like the Eagles. And plus, I hate picking the Cowboys.
And it looks like maybe I think it's Lane Johnson, their big-time lineman will be back, so that'll be a big benefit for the Eagles.
Yes. All right. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, I'll mention it when we get to the divisional. All right. But we have this same matchup, Bills versus Bengals. This is a very close game to pick.
Mm-hmm.
This is one I've had to think about for a little bit because I think they're both very similar teams.
Yeah, they're very similar. Good quarterbacks, strong receivers, not an elite defense, but a good defense.
Von Miller would make that Bills defense more elite.
Very much.
He's going to be a big miss.
I think this game will come down to whoever makes a mistake or maybe turnover. I just think, being at home and the whole, like I said, the whole DeMar Hamlin thing will just kind of motivate the team. And I'll take Buffalo in a close matchup. maybe like a 27-25-ish, 31-30 area, something like that.
Same thing. Plus, I picked the Bills to win in the preseason. So I'm picking the Bills over the Bengals.
There you go. I picked the Bills in the preseason, too.
Did you?
I had the Bills and 49ers in my Super Bowl.
Yeah, but who would you pick to win, the 49ers or the Bills?
I don't remember. Did we actually pick? I don't think we picked who won.
Because I had the Bills over the Bucks, which is a shitty prediction now. Oh, I have it right here. Oh, you had the Bills too.
I sound so disappointed.
All right. And then Chiefs versus Jags for you and Chiefs versus Chargers for me.
Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, the Chargers, they'll make it it's like another division game. But I just saw that Mike Williams may be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So if Mike Williams is going to be out, that's just another weapon that they can't keep up with Mahomes and that high-powered offense. Yep. So as boring as it is, 1-2 in both conference championships.
Well, let's segue real quick here. This brings me to my question of the week for you.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Patrick Mahomes just set the single NFL record for most yards by a quarterback. Whose record did he break?
Drew Brees.
Yes, he did.
Boom!
Very good.
I didn't even see that stat.
5,570 yards.
I feel like Drew Brees had a lot of the passing yard stats.
Shout out to Patrick Mahomes and shout out to Drew Brees.
Yeah, I feel like Drew Brees had a lot of those passing yard stats, so I just picked them.
Very good.
My second guess was Peyton Manning.
Oh, I'd be wrong.
But
he has the most passing touchdowns.
That's why he was my second guess.
Season. Very good.
Was that year with the Broncos?
Yes.
When they got their butts kicked by the Seahawks. Okay. NFC Championship game. Eagles versus 49ers. I think I know who you're picking.
The Gold Diggers.
The minor 49ers?
The 49ers. Minor 49er.
I picked the Eagles.
Thanks, Scoob.
I picked the Eagles.
Get him, Scoob. Okay. I picked the 49ers.
I think the Brock Purdy experiment's got to end eventually, and I feel like it's going to be against the Eagles.
I don't think it's an experiment. I think it's an experience.
Shut up. Yeah, so I picked the Eagles over the 49ers.
A lot of animosity on that side of the microphone tonight.
I know, because you keep making fun of the way I talk. I just make fun of your bad segues.
I wasn't making fun. There's no such thing as my bad segue.
Yeah, there is, because I brought up Vince McMahon, and you just went over to the Buffalo Bills, and then I had to go back to the Vince McMahon.
Let it go, man.
That's bad. Now all the viewers are going to listen. All the listeners are going to hear about it. Because if I say viewers, then you'll correct me again.
First time you did the pod sober. I don't like it. Go back to drinking.
go back to smoking that weed.
Where's your little thermos full of your jungle juice?
My jungle juice?
Yes.
The jungle juice was good. All right. Bills versus Chiefs in Atlanta, not in Kansas City.
Yeah, that was one of my nuggets. Thanks for stealing that. But that's okay.
We'll bring it up again.
Well, it was a good decision. I was worried when they picked a neutral site game. They were going to pick something kind of closer to one team than the other. And then it's like if there's like Cincinnati's supposed to play Pittsburgh, and there's some kind of event that happens in Cincinnati, so they have to move. They have to move the game to Pittsburgh. But Cincinnati's still the home team. I go, well, that doesn't. They do that all the time. That stuff doesn't really work. So, but props to the NFL for actually picking a destination that's, actually a neutral site, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So,
they're not used to doing much in there in January and February.
Everything points to the Chiefs winning, but the Bills had them covered last year, and Chiefs just pulled it out at the end again. I remember I was sitting in a restaurant in Kansas City, and we couldn't see the game, but we could hear people watching it from the other room. There was all these shouts and cheers when Chiefs would do something. And then when I'd hear Buffalo do something, I go, woo! And my friend was like, "You shut up! You're gonna get us beat up." But the Chiefs ended up pulling out. But I think if Buffalo can get through the early contest, they have what it takes to win. I mean, that's not a doubt. It's not a talent issue. It's a between the ears issue with Buffalo, and eventually you got to slay that dragon. So I picked them in the beginning, so I like them, and I think it might be a pretty high scoring game. So. I'll take the Bills.
I also did the Bills because I picked them in the preseason. And it comes to Bills versus the 49ers in your Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Wow, just like what you predicted in the beginning of the year.
I know, shocker.
And so who'd you take?
Well, I think I picked Buffalo, as you just said earlier. And
Are you sticking with it?
the thing with the Super Bowl is there's a 2-week gap. So the teams are really able to go in there and analyze and, game plan. And so I think if Buffalo's there and they have 2 weeks to analyze Purdy and his game and, how they try to use him, whatever, I think they can come up with a plan that will slow him down and be pretty effective. And I think even though Purdy's a running threat, I just think Josh Allen is a dual threat. And when things break down, he's got the fortitude and wherewithal to, take advantage of the defense breaking down and, getting some yards. Excuse me. He just got to be cautious of making the one bad decision and, turning the ball over, which he does occasionally. So he just got to, have his A game, make his reads, don't force anything. And then if all things equal, I think Buffalo's probably the better team. And so I'll go with the Buffalo Bills.
Bills over the Eagles. No reason for it. I picked the Bills. And this is going to be their year. I picked the Bills like 3 years in a row. So hopefully they can just win so I can stop picking them.
You're like Chris Berman. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
But like you had the fortitude to stick with the 49ers. I could not stick with the Bucks because they've been so bad. I'm like, nope, not picking them.
Well, at the beginning of the year, there was no reason not to think they were going to be back. I mean,
oh, no.
So
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying now, looking at it, I can't stick with my prediction.
Oh, sure.
I have to change it.
Yeah.
So we'll be fine.
Okay.
So, yeah. I think that's all I had for topics.
Yeah, that's I had a couple other things, but we can sit on those. They're not anything that have a time constraint on them, just, some issues I want to tackle. But I did want to talk a little bit, since it's fresh on our minds, about the Lions. I know it's kind of a sore subject for you right now, but
I don't care.
Do you think the season they had and how they finished this season raised the bar for expectations for the Lions going forward?
Yeah. And
the fact they're keeping their coaching staff and what have you?
No, yeah.
And the only big question mark right now I see, and I'm not really super familiar with the free agency situation, but the quarterback is really their only big question mark, and I think Goff did enough to earn the right to start again, even if they draft somebody. But
well, I think they could draft like you said, draft somebody and develop them, let them sit. I think that'd be okay if they feel the need. But I think they could just use another playmaker on defense. I feel like offensively they have Swift and Jamal Williams, who are perfectly capable. Wide receiver, they have a lot of guys. Jameson Williams. They still have Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
They even have like Khalif Raymond's like a good. They have just have good guys on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they need to make any changes there. I think if they could just fortify the defensive side of the ball a little bit, let them develop, I think they could be really good next year.
Well, they have Hutchinson, had a good rookie year, as a contender for the rookie of the year. I think he'll probably lose to Sauce Gardner because
who's also really good.
He had a great year, and Jets just stick him out there and on team's number one receiver as a rookie, and he did a pretty good job. So I expect Sauce Gardner to win that award. But yeah, Detroit, I'd say everything's looking up there. They have a coach that seems to have the culture of the team and the city going in the right direction.
I love Dan Campbell.
It's a blue collar city. Auto workers, and that town's been through a lot, and so to have a winning ball club there would just help out that city and that team.
So I would sorry to cut you off, but to answer your question, do I think anything will make or break them? Maybe if they go back to like a 1-win team. But as long as I think if they continue to play well, be competitive in other games, and maybe make the playoffs or at least be competitive in the playoffs again, I think that would be a win. I don't think I don't think them missing the playoffs next year necessarily would like derail the system that Dan Campbell's building, but I think like regression at this point would be kind of a bad thing.
They found out before the game they weren't going to make the playoffs, so they could have easily just said, "Yeah, we don't have a shot, so let's lay down." But no, they went out and put their best guys out there and played competitive football against the Packers.
That shows the culture he's built.
Yeah. Now, the only two things is having a winning record or 500 record will mean they're going to have a stronger schedule because, the schedule is all based on where you finish. So they're going to have a tougher schedule. But I think the fact that they are on the upswing, they had a good season, more free agents might be open to signing there. Because a lot of free agents are like, well, why do I want to go to Detroit? I might make a lot of money, but I'm not going to win there.
Yeah.
Well, now these free agents can see, well, I can go to Detroit and win.
Be the reason why I took him over the hump.
Yeah, and get him to the playoffs. So, I definitely think the Lions and Detroit are on the upswing.
Well, if you think about it, too, they won, 7 of the last 8 or whatever that amount was after losing, 5 of their first 6.
Mm-hmm.
So if you keep it that way, they're the number 1 seed.
Well, them at Pittsburgh. Bringing around back down to the Steelers, of course.
Well, if you take Green Bay's last 5 games, they were 4-1.
Ooh.
There you go. We can make anything look good. We can take a pile of shit and make it look great. Especially when we talk about the Packers and the Steelers. So
I don't think Steelers are a pile of shit. I wouldn't go that far.
I don't think Green Bay's a pile of shit either. Oh, I never did mention it. Fire Joe Barry. They still need to do that, but Matt LaFleur goes, we'll keep him next year. Fucking loser.
I thought your last pod you talked that you were fairly happy with Joe Barry.
He's making improvements, but he's still not the answer. And, of course, Matt LaFleur is going to keep him for another year. Defense is going to be crappy, and then the season's going to be a waste again.
And
I thought this season very fitting. It was a 4th and 2 that the Lions converted. He had his corner 7 yards back in a zone when you have, the second-best corner in the league and gave up, a little flat, wide open. No one was around him. I said, that's the Joe Barry I know.
I did see that they said they were open to bringing Nathaniel Hackett back as offensive coordinator, possibly.
Yeah, LaFleur said he already contacted them, so I'd be okay with that. They just need to get rid of the defensive coordinator. And then otherwise, I'm not too upset about Green Bay. They need to figure out what the hell Aaron Rodgers is doing. I really kind of want to just see Jordan Love now. Just get the Jordan Love era started. But, of course, you can't just... Sorry, Aaron. Boop. He showed too much class to the organization. And you can just tell he's passionate about being a Packer. And I thought all his frustrations with the organization in the first place were all warranted. About not being involved in free agent decisions, blah, 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 blah. Drafting my replacement when I'm right here trying to help you win the Super Bowl. The owners are kind of stupid. But most part, the general manager hasn't been too bad. Okay, now talking about the Packers. You ready for our next Nuggets section?
Well, I kind of used my Nuggets up during the course of the show, but yeah, go ahead.
All right, well, I'll do my Nuggets.
Well, I have a couple.
Well, some of my Nuggets are kind of long, so we can kind of just talk about it. Well, you're going to say the line that I always hate that you say?
Which one?
Something about firing up some boosters or something. You always say some cheesy line before the sound effect.
You already did it.
All right. Do you want to do your Nuggets first or you want me to go first?
You go ahead.
All right. So I think I talked about this from MLB.com. I thought this was interesting. They had their next 10 World Series predictions. This isn't even like news. This is just a little segment I have. I'll just do it in the Nuggets section.
Are the Royals in there at all?
Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
So next year, their prediction for the World Series is the Dodgers over the Blue Jays. I won't be picking that because I'm tired of picking the Dodgers every damn year. They always blow it in the playoffs. 2024, they have the Mets over the Baltimore Orioles.
I could see the Orioles possibly being in the World Series. 2024 may be too soon, but
2025 they have the Giants over the Yankees. Which, to be honest, I don't know what they see in the Giants organization to think that to be competitive for a World Series.
Judge Bowl
By 2025, yeah.
I don't know.
2026 they have the Mariners over the Cardinals.
Interesting.
Which I can kind of see. 2027 they have the Yankees over the Cubs. The Yankees finally win another World Series.
That would
banner number 28.
That would be a hell of a TV draw.
Exactly.
Man, you want to have the rights to that World Series.
2028 Baltimore over the Dodgers. So 4 years later they meet again.
Wow.
Or no, that was the Mets over the Orioles. That was the Dodgers over the Blue Jays. My bad. Never mind. Sorry. I thought it was poetic, but it's not. 2029 Detroit Tigers over the Braves. 2030 the Angels over the Phillies. 55-year-old Shohei Ohtani. I'm joking. I don't think it'll be that one. 2031 Red Sox over the Brewers. Woo!
Fake news.
I can't wait for 2031. Give me there real
Fake
quick.
news.
And in 2032, they have the Guardians over the Reds.
All Ohio World Series.
So-
Easy for me to say.
Shout out to MLB.com for this, but I don't see any rhyme or reason in any of these picks. I think they were just, spin the wheel.
Well, I'm sure they have did some research. So.
Yeah, but I don't see any of that too accurate. So, yeah, that was my first nugget.
Matt Rule, new Nebraska coach we referenced earlier, signed 2 high school coaches out of Texas to help fill out his coaching staff. And obviously, a lot of these guys have ties to Texas, and some of the other coaches have been recruiting coordinators. So he's obviously placed a great emphasis on recruiting, and they're going to place a great emphasis on recruiting the state of Texas, because a lot of these guys have tie-ins to Texas. And, of course, he coached at Baylor, which is in Waco in Texas. So obviously that's going to be a priority, and I can never figure out why the last few years they've kind of got away from Texas. When they played in the Big 12, they were playing games in Texas every year. And now that since they went to the Big 10, I guess they just assume, since we're not really playing in that footprint, that we shouldn't recruit. But I mean, proximity, it's way closer than Florida and California, which is some of the very fertile recruiting grounds. And Nebraska's always had a pretty good foothold in New Jersey too, which is like part of the footprint of the Big 10. But I'm glad to see that Nebraska's trying to get back into Texas, because high school football in Texas is a religion, and they take it very seriously down there. So I like these signings. We talked about originally when they hired him that I hoped that he wouldn't just bring a bunch of people he already knew onto his staff. So he's got a good mix of veterans and people he's familiar with, and new, young, energetic coaches. So, and one of his receiver coach is only 23 or 24 years old that he just brought in. So, shoot, some of these grad transfers guys could be older than their coach. So, I like the direction Matt Rule's going and the way he's approaching the putting together of his staff and assistants. I mean, they have non-field coaches, which are, I think they call them analysis or something. It's just a made up position for a coach who's not on the field, basically. So that's my first nugget.
Cool. Did you talk about that last week?
No.
No, okay. Well, all right.
Thanks for listening.
No, I did listen. But maybe I get our normal conversation confused with what we say on the podcast. But I feel like you mentioned that, but that's okay. All right, next one. Andrew McCutchen signed a 1-year deal to return to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I did see that.
Did you see that? Raise the Jolly Roger. He's back.
He had offers to go a couple other teams, but he liked assurances that Pittsburgh would give him the number of games he was going to get to play.
I bet, because shoot, they don't have anyone else to put out there except that O'Neal Cruz, that shortstop.
Well, they have Reynolds, but they're asking for a king's ransom from him. So if they can get that, then that would definitely help their team. But
yeah, they do have that Reynolds too.
That would be a full on rebuild.
Oh, that's full on already.
So McCutchen will probably take on that Hosmer role that we talked about earlier with the Cubs. So,
well, I think he's more of like a face thing too. Oh, we need some ticket sales. Let's get Andrew McCutchen back.
Sure. That would be a draw.
Exactly. Do you have anything else besides the Texas coaches?
I had the note on the neutral site game, but we already talked about.
Oops, sorry.
So no, that's fine. I didn't have much else. I know we're NFL heavy this week, and a lot of my nuggets were NFL centric, so they just kind of evolved into the conversation as we were going. So,
well, speaking of NFL nuggets, my last nugget.
Ooh.
Did you see the All Pro teams came out?
I did. I saw Minka made it.
All right.
Props to Minka.
Well, I'm not going to go through all the teams.
Okay.
I'm not going to go through first and second, but I figured I'd go through the first team.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
I'll say them and just let me know if you disagree, okay? Quarterback, Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, yeah, I mean.
Jalen Hurts was second team.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple, 2-3 guys that probably were worthy of that pick, but yeah, you can't really argue with that.
Well, you can off this year. This person had a better year than that guy. But I think Jalen Hurts being injured those 2 games probably gave Mahomes the edge. So Mahomes MVP, maybe. Probably coming. Josh Jacobs, running back, after betting on himself this year. Shout out to that trade I made in the Postal League. Travis Kelce, tight end. Can't disagree.
Sure.
Wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and Devontae Adams.
Okay.
Offensive line, Trent Williams for 49ers.
Okay.
That Joel, I never know how to say this guy's last name. Joel Batonio, that guy from the Browns. You know what I'm talking about? Left guard.
No.
I don't know how to say his last name, but it looks like Batonio, so I'm just going to say it like that. Jason Kelsey.
Okay.
Zach Martin.
Both the Kelsey brothers made it, huh?
And Lane Johnson.
Yeah. You know, the Kelsey brothers do a podcast.
Yeah, it's not as good as ours. First team defense. Edge is Nick Bosa and
The Edge? The Edge made it?
no, not the Edge.
Oh.
Nor did Edge make it.
Oh.
First team defense: Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons.
Okay.
Chris Jones and Quinnen Williams, inside defensive linemen.
Okay.
Linebackers: Fred Warner, Roquan Smith, and Matt Milano for the Bills.
Okay, interesting.
Corners are Patrick Surtain for the Broncos and Sauce Gardner.
Who you mentioned earlier, yeah.
And safeties are, who you mentioned, Minka Fitzpatrick, and that guy for the 49ers, I'm not going to say his name, Talania Hufanga, I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah,
The Hawaiian name.
yeah, I drafted him in my fantasy league, and then he got me a pick 6 to help me win a game, and then I traded him the next week.
All right, and then special teams, we'll just have to read it because we can't forget the special teams. Kicker, Daniel Carson.
Carlson?
I said Carson. Carlson, yes. Sorry, there was an L in there, and I knew that. Tommy Townsend for the Chiefs. Keyshawn Nixon for the Green Bay Packers as the kick returner. Marcus Jones as the punt returner for the Patriots. Jeremy Reeves for the Commanders as the special teamer. And then long snapper is Andrew DePolia for the Vikings. Shout out those long snappers. Cool. That's the first team. Do you care about second team?
Is there anybody on second team that you think should have been first team?
Jalen Hurts is the argument. Nick Chubb, I don't think over Josh Jacobs. George Kittle, I don't think over Kittle. I don't think Brown, Diggs, or CeeDee Lamb are above any of the 3 we mentioned. Offensive line, no offense. Tristan Wirfs, maybe. Jair Alexander for the Packers made second team, but Justin Simmons for the Broncos.
TJ Watt listed?
Nope. Well, he was out like 9 games.
Well, yeah.
So, no, not really. I think it's pretty set in stone. So, yeah. I think Jalen Hurts is the only one you can really argue. Like I said, I think those 2 injured games kind of gave Mahomes just... Oh, well, Mahomes played all the games, so we'll just throw him in there.
Well, you could have thrown Josh Allen in there, Burrow, potentially. I mean...
Well, I mean, of course, the guys on the number 1 seed are going to get the nods, because most of the time, those are the quarterbacks that are playing the best.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a dominant like defense. Like Jimmy Garoppolo or something. That's the quarterback. Or Trent Dilfer. So yeah. Episode 12. I feel like we've been doing this for years and we're only on episode 12.
For years. We haven't been even doing it for a year.
I don't know, but every 2 weeks, that's only 27 episodes. And then we took like a month break. And then like a 2-month break. And we had like 4 practice episodes. So... we should find those practice. If we think the first episode sounded bad, the 4 practice episodes probably sounded even worse.
Did you keep the audio on those?
I don't know if I did.
I don't think you did, but
I think I deleted all the old ones because I don't need these anymore. But I think the practice ones were included in there, so I may have accidentally deleted them, but not like, practice ones, get rid of them. You guys probably want to listen to those anyway. The first real practice one we just did on your couch in your. And remember we did NFL free agency.
Yep.
And I had all those guys listed.
I know you went on. Like, we got to pare this down.
That was good.
Well, my original intent was to stay under an hour, and I think we've only been under an hour maybe once.
The very first episode, I think, was under an hour.
And I think the one from Boston was close to an hour.
I can look it up right now.
From the Land Rover,
but we had
Cruiser.
Well, we knew it was bad because like our third episode was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we knew we weren't too keen on that happening. First one was 51 minutes. The third episode was an hour 49. What episode is this? The MLB playoff predictions and NFL contenders or pretenders was 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Woo!
That's our longest. And then On the Road was an hour and 13 seconds. So it was pretty close.
That was close.
It was close, but yeah, that first one was 51 minutes. Because I think we tried to keep it short. But after a while, I'm like, if they like us enough to listen to us ramble for 5 hours if we want.
Well, you said one of your friends preferred our podcast to be longer because it takes up more of his day.
Yeah, shout out my man Matt. I still got to send him a koozie.
Well, you better get on it.
He'll probably message me when he listens to this.
Okay.
So yeah. Yeah, shout out to us. You get to listen to a podcast on like a Friday night or Saturday morning because...
Well, once we finish recording, it's all in Nathan's hands because he's the editor of Fast Intentions, as he mentioned last week.
So I'll cut out your segue out of my segue into another segue that went back to another segue.
Very much so.
I'm joking.
So
I love you, buddy.
Yes.
What the hell? I take that shit back.
Too late. It's on the air.
No.
It's on the air.
You just said I did the editing.
That's the worst evil laugh ever.
That was shitty.
Don't be jealous.
I do clown laughs at work.
Don't be. Well, you're a clown, right?
No, I meant like an actual clown, not my normal laugh.
We appreciate you listening. However you're listening via Spotify, please
or Anchor,
rate, and review us. Or Anchor. If you follow us on YouTube, we appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like our episodes. Give us some comments, some feedback. We always appreciate that. Sharing with your friends, families, people you hate. We don't care. Just help us build our brand. And if you want to hit us up on Twitter, you can hit us up at Fast Intentions Pod, F Intentions Pod. Excuse me.
Yeah, don't send them to a different
Only
pod.
F.
Don't send them to a different Fast Intentions.
We would love to hear from you. We say that every week. We did have one comment. And shout out to my friend Bill. He's laid up. He's had some surgery, and so we hope Bill's feeling better. And he said he was going to listen to the pod while he was laid up. And
shout out Bill.
So I heard from him. I said, "What'd you think?" He goes, "It was pretty good.
I should have beat you in that championship game."
So there's our comment. We can use our comment sound effect. We haven't been able to use since probably episode 2. So we'll have to dust that off and get that out. But yeah, Bill, if you're listening, we hope you're better and feeling well, and you'll be able to get back to work pretty soon. So
is Bill a Bills fan again, or is he a Vikings fan?
He's still a Bills Bill.
Well, he left, and then when Josh Allen got good, he went back.
Not a Bills Bill. He's a Bills fan.
But not to call out Bill.
That was a short-lived thing. He went to the Vikings, and then the Bills started getting good. So then, whoop, he went back to the Bills. But that's his name, so that's why he's like the Bills, because he's Buffalo Bill.
Makes sense.
So
if there was the Nathan Scorpions, I'd probably be a Nathan fan.
Interesting. Yeah. But they wouldn't be it'd have to be like the Green Bay Nathans, something like that. That sounds like it's probably one of their names originally.
I don't feel that he was that name.
if you get a chance, there's a really good documentary on YouTube, and I don't know the name, but it talks about all the origins of all the teams and their different names, and where they were located and how they moved around and whatever. It's like a little bit over an hour long, but
that's not a documentary. That's just a YouTube video. I know that's NFL Throwback. I think is what it's called.
Sorry, I misspoke when I said documentary.
But
to me that's just kind of a random term. I probably shouldn't use it as a random term, but
no, it's okay because YouTube's so talented now that a lot of people.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do.
Much documentaries.
We'll tweet it out on our F Intentions Pod link, and you can go there and watch it off our Twitter page, and that'll give you a reason to visit the Twitter page, and follow us there. So.
Well, I would watch it, but Green Bay's pretty boring. They're the Green Bay Packers, and then they stay that way for the rest of the history.
Well, it's not just about Green Bay. It's about the history of the NFL, Mister.
Who's the last team? Huh?
Who's the last team?
Yeah, to be an NFL team. Like, who's the last current team to get in?
Jacksonville?
No, it's Houston.
Oh.
The Texans.
I'm old school. Houston had a team, so I don't think of Houston.
The Texans is an organization.
Houston Oilers.
because the Oilers went to
Houston Oilers.
the Oilers went
Houston
to
Oilers.
Tennessee.
Houston Oilers #1.
Houston went to Tennessee, right? The Oilers.
I remember the Steelers played the Oilers many years in the playoffs. Usually kicked their butt. Poor Dan Pastorini got his butt kicked. But, Billy White, Hughes Johnson, and those boys. So. Shout out to the Houston Oilers.
I put this on Facebook. All I know about Packers is heartbreak. Because I wasn't a fan when they won the last Super Bowl. I didn't care. And then Green Bay's always good, but then they always lose in horrendous ways.
You were a Steelers fan for a hot minute, and then you kind of drifted away. So.
Well, I was, and then
but I
think Green Bay won that Super Bowl, but I didn't care, so I'm like, I like the Packers again.
I'm a good father. I let you just make your own decision.
When I have a kid, that's not an option. You like the Packers and the Red Sox and the Celtics.
I didn't try to sway you into being a Steelers fan. I let you just make your own decision.
Thank God you didn't do that.
Well, you're welcome.
My kid won't have that option. He's stuck. I want to watch games with my kid.
Well, I'm ready to see your kid. So
it's getting there. I got to lose all this weight I have on my fat body first. All right, well, this has been dragging on. You want to sign us off?
Sure.